It's the Happy Families Podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
I struggle with the departure from reality here. Like, have we forgotten what we were like when we were kids? Were there times where you were a little bit less than ideal when you were bored?
Yeah, I put my finger in my mum's jam seals.
Right.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
I have no idea how this is going to go because you won't tell me what you're going to talk about in today's podcast. Not a word. Still not a word. You're not going to say anything at all until the podcast is really going. Is that what you're saying?
What do you want me to say?
We're going now, so it's happening. Hello, this is Dr. Justin Coulson. I'm here with Kylie, my wife and mum to our 6 children. And today's topic, it's coming off the back of a TV interview I did just recently on Channel 9. There was an article that appeared in the Sydney Morning Herald all about how important it is that our kids are bored from time to time. We've got to stop entertaining our children. They need to be bored. That's what the article said. And I don't know what your feeling is on this because you literally won't tell me.
I think anybody who says that children should be bored only had one child.
Or none. Right? So you disagree?
As soon as you have siblings in the house and your children are bored, what usually happens?
Yeah, okay, great. So this is going to be an easier conversation than I thought. We're actually in furious agreement here. I've just done a Google and I've just typed in, is it good for a child to be bored? Here's what I've got from Melbourne Child Psychology. It says boredom gives children an inner quiet that helps with imagination and self-awareness. I don't know what planet they're living on at Melbourne Child Psychology and School Psychology Services, but it's not the same one that I live on. Boredom gives children an inner quiet. No, it gives them an inner beast that helps with what? Imagination and self-awareness?
I thought you were going to read some articles where it said child robs a bank because he was bored.
Because he was bored. Child jumps off building. Why? I don't know. I was bored. So I want to read a couple of the headlines here. So we've got the Childmind Institute saying the benefits of boredom. We've got the Raising Children Network. This is the big government-sponsored website saying boredom is fantastic for children's play. Say parenting experts. They didn't talk to me about that one. The New York Times says, let kids get bored. It's good for them. TheSchoolRun.com says why boredom is good for your child. Parent.com, 5 ways boredom makes your kid more awesome. PBS, boredom isn't a bad thing for kids. The Resilience Project, oh my goodness, these guys, seriously, they should know better. Why it's good for children to be bored. Hugh Van Cuylenberg, I would have thought that he would know better than that because there's all these people saying this, but I don't think any of them are looking at what research shows. There's just this conservative opinion that parents shouldn't have to entertain their kids all day, so therefore the kids should be bored and then they'll figure it out.
That's 2 totally different things. I am not responsible for entertaining my child all day, every day.
Correct.
That is one statement.
That's right.
Children should be bored and it's better for them.
Totally different thing.
It's a totally different subject. It might feel like semantics, but we're not actually talking about boredom.
No.
If my job as a parent is not to entertain my children, what is it?
Yeah, my job is to provide an environment where there is appropriate opportunity for enrichment so that my child can make wise, healthy, useful decisions.
So I remember sitting in one of our children's teacher's office one day.
Yeah.
Because I was really concerned about my child. She'd gone from being extremely curious.
When you say my child, do you mean one of the ones that we share?
Our child.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I was really worried because she'd gone from being such a curious learner to literally being apathetic about anything. She didn't want to do her homework, as in like assignments that she was doing. She was quite happy to just copy what her friends would. Like she just literally had kind of thrown the towel in when it came to curiosity and learning. I sat down with the teacher and I explained the situation and said that I was really concerned. She looked at me and said, I'm just her teacher. If your child doesn't want to learn, I can't make her.
I remember the conversation.
I was speechless because she can't make my child learn. She does have that one right.
Yeah.
But as a teacher or as a parent, my job is to provide an environment that actually encourages learning.
Yeah, something that supports that.
That facilitates it, that really encourages that inquiry of learning. That's the job. It's not about me entertaining them, but it's about providing them with the things so that when they find themselves in a position where they don't have anything to do, there is something there that goes, hello.
I struggle with the departure from reality here. Like, have we forgotten what we were like when we were kids? When you were bored as a child, I'm sure that you were really wise and did some really nice things from time to time, but were there times where you were a little bit less than ideal when you were bored?
Yeah, I put my finger in my mum's jam seals.
Right.
What else did I do?
You know what? I got in trouble when I was bored. I went and got a can of red spray paint and found buildings to deface with that red spray paint. And once I'd done that, I came home and we had a log, a log wall, a log retaining wall. And I used that red spray paint on the retaining wall at home. Like, it's kind of dumb, really. My parents found that. But why? Well, because I was bored. I think about the...
one of our kids, she didn't do anything major, but I was doing some spray painting for a craft project.
Oh, and she spray painted the car?
No.
She did. She spray painted one of our cars.
Did you really?
Yeah, the gold spray paint.
Oh, no, this was black.
Oh, okay, different one.
Yeah.
So one of our kids spray painted one of our cars because she was bored. She had some
spray painted the whole side of the wheelie bin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, as a teenager when I was bored with my mates, I mean, we did...
How many times did you set fire to your rubbish bin?
I certainly had lit fires, nudie runs. I'm so sorry. We were in Yuck Donald's and we used to do this thing that we called issuing the gherks. I mean, delinquent behaviour. This is horrendous. I was not a good teenager. I've made no secret of that. But we would sit in Yuck Donald's and we'd pull the gherkins out of the burgers and fling them at the windows as high as we could so they would the sauce, they would slide all the way down. We thought it was hilarious because we were sitting there and we were bored. We had nothing else to do. And this brings me to my key point. Everyone who has written any of these articles about how it's good for kids to be bored because it promotes creativity. Yeah, creativity to do what? Like, if there are no parameters, if there are no boundaries, if we're not in an environment that has an appropriate level of control and enrichment opportunity, the creativity can become pretty destructive. And research, I really want to talk about the data. The data shows really, really clearly that boredom it has a real dark side. Easily bored people. So this is when you have trait boredom. So some people get bored more easily than others. Easily bored people are at higher risk for depression. Like, you think about it. If you're bored, you actually feel depressed and you start looking for stimulation. You're at greater risk of anxiety. As you get older, if you maintain an ongoing approach to boredom that is not healthy, you can end up with drug addiction, alcoholism, compulsive gambling, eating disorders, hostility, anger, poor social skills, bad grades, lousy work performance. I could go on and on and on. There's so much data out there that says boredom is bad, just bad.
Oh, you said it. It's bad.
Not all the time. I want to be clear, not all the time, but this craze that we've got with mummy bloggers and Instagram and TikTokers who, these are not people who are qualified to be saying the things that they're saying. They're writing articles for the New York Times and for major news outlets and for some of Australia's biggest platforms as well. They're not qualified to say what they're saying. And if they looked at the data, they would find that the research doesn't support it.
I'm thinking about how many times parents actually do a high five after their kids have chosen an activity to do because they were bored. I wonder how many parents and how many homes are happier because their children were bored and actually decided for themselves what they might do to fill in that space. I actually think in those instances, not always, if we foster a sense of creativity, I think that chances are our children might find some better ways, better outlets to deal with that boredom. But if we haven't fostered creativity,
yes, then
chances are our kids just get in trouble for being naughty, right?
That's pretty much it. And not just that, but they will, again, the research is clear on this, they will make choices that are not in their or other people's best interest. Fascinating study published in 2016 in Psychiatry Research. In this journal, they had 69 participants watch, so we call this mood induction. They had to watch a film fragment and they had three options. There was a really monotonous, boring film to watch, like a documentary about sticks kind of thing. Then there was a sad film fragment that they could watch. And then there was just a neutral film fragment. And if at any point as they were watching this fragment of a movie or a documentary, if they didn't like what was going on or they wanted if it felt tedious to them, if they didn't like what was happening, they could go and self-administer an electric shock. Like there was a little electric shock machine over in the corner. They can walk over and go,
"This is ethical?"
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because it's self-administered. Okay, so the experimenter actually says, we just want you to watch this. If at any point you are interested, the little machine over there, that's an electric shock machine, and you're welcome to go and give yourself an electric shock whenever you want. Okay, like it sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous to even consider it. But here's what the researchers found: participants in the boredom condition self-administered more shocks and with higher intensity compared to both the neutral and the sadness condition. So if you were watching the sad film fragment, it had no effect at all on the self-administration of shocks. People who watched the sad stuff just didn't shock themselves. But the effect of boredom was such that people would say, this is boring, this is monotonous, I don't want to be here. And they would go over and for the first 15 minutes, they just give themselves electric shocks. Anything rather than watch the boring documentary.
Yeah, or kids that pick their scabs or bite their fingernails.
Or pick on their siblings or pull all the Tupperware out of
their name into furniture.
Yeah, right.
Like anything. We've got our outdoor couch. It's got fabric cushions and it's been sitting in the sun for a couple of years now, and the fabric has started to get a few little holes in it. And over the last few weeks, I've noticed that the holes have gotten bigger and we're losing pieces. It started off with just a strip and now there's another strip. And you ask everybody and nobody's done anything because they were just doing while they were bored.
I want to read one more of these to you because it just emphasizes this so much. The experiment was simple. All these participants had to do was enter an empty room and sit down and think for between 6 and 15 minutes. But they didn't have their phone with them. They didn't have a book. There was no screen. There was nothing. They were literally just there on their own. In fact, even when participants were told, hey, we want to give you some preparation time so you know what's coming, so you know what the solitude is going to be like, we just want you to know that this is what's going to happen. And so the researchers, what they also did was they hooked up a little electric shock machine. It was a little device containing a 9-volt battery, the little rectangular ones, and if you lick it, you get that charge through your tongue. And once again, the researchers found that most of the people who were in the room got so bored sitting on their own for between 6 and 15 minutes that they went over and gave themselves electric shocks, on average 7 times. One person gave himself 190 electric shocks over a 15-minute period. Now, that's obviously a particularly unusual data point, but I want to highlight it's not good for our kids to be bored. So what are we supposed to do? We need to give some answers, and we've got about 2 minutes to do it, maybe 3 minutes to do it. Now that I think that I've clearly made my point, stop saying make the kids bored. What do kids need instead?
I read an article recently that said if your backyard looks like a junkyard, you're doing great. And it's just a backyard full of loose parts. You've got bits of PVC piping and tyres and planks of wood, things that the kids can actually move around the yard and have fun with. They're actually creating, they're doing things, making little chutes, putting there's so many different things you can do, but it's about providing an environment and a structure that allows them to utilize their curiosity.
Great. Absolutely. The other thing that we want to do is we want to encourage the development of competence. So give them things that help them to grow. Something that you've been doing a lot lately with the kids is drawing. And their artwork it's coming along beautifully. When they're bored, you'll sit down and draw with them. And here's the thing. Being in relationship is so important. And if you can't be in the relationship with the kids because you've got work or you've got other commitments or you've just got to get the dinner cooked or get the house tidy or whatever, giving them some opportunity to be in relationship with someone else, whether it's a neighbour down the road and they get to play in the backyard or on the balcony or in the park, or whether they're going to jump onto FaceTime and talk to one of their cousins overseas or in a state or in a different suburb, giving them an opportunity to be in a relationship with others, so important for helping to overcome boredom.
One of the things recently that has become a really big part of Miss 9-year-old's life is a big whiteboard.
Yes.
And some whiteboard markers.
I couldn't believe you've shown up. We don't have anywhere to hang a whiteboard, but you've shown up with these whiteboards that are like, I don't know.
No, well, I've had them. They've just been hiding behind the couch.
Right.
I haven't had a need for them for a while.
Yeah.
But they found them the other day, and she has pulled out all of the whiteboard markers, and literally at nighttime she's refusing to go to bed, which is not fun. But she's refusing to go to bed because she just wants to draw.
Yeah.
She'll write stories on there. She'll draw pictures on there. She's just having so much fun being creative in a totally different way.
These aren't necessarily the answers for your child. I guess the main point that I wanted to make was if you read an article where somebody says it's good for your kids to be bored, I think that it's worth questioning. Who are they? Why are they writing it? What evidence are they using to support it? Even if it comes from a well-established, typically well-resourced website, just have a look to see what data they've got to support it, because the research just is not there to support the idea that our kids need to be bored.
It's not healthy as a parent for us to have to step our children through step by step of every day. They need to have space.
Sure.
But what is our responsibility is to provide them with different things. One of the best things that we've done over the years is to not have all of the toys out at one time. They don't have access to everything that's on offer. So switching things out regularly will really help so that things are fresh and they're exciting. You might even, to kind of spur excitement, place the blocks out in a different part of the house and have extra bits and pieces that would go with that you wouldn't normally. Maybe you add straws.
So what you're saying is a bit of variety.
It's just change things up. Put the blocks out on the lawn.
All right.
Give them a whole heap of sheets to throw over the trees, and who knows what they'll come up with.
I think we've slain that sacred cow of
boredom,
the mummy blog world, and that is that it's good for your kids to be bored. It's not. Job done.
I think it's really good for parents to be bored, though.
You do?
Yeah.
Tell me more. We don't have time for this.
Can I be bored?
You just don't have time. You just want to sit there and have the opportunity, just have the feeling. No, I get you. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. And if you want more information about how to make your family happier and less bored, you can find it all at happyfamilies.com.au.